The silence of deep space surrounded the USS Defender as it patrolled the outer edges of the Epsilon Eridani system. Captain Jack Miller sat in his command chair, eyes fixed on the main view screen that displayed the stunning view of distant stars against the black void. The ship hummed with quiet efficiency as crew members went about their duties. "Another quiet day in paradise," said Lieutenant Commander Diane Foster from her tactical station. She brushed a strand of blonde hair from her face and checked her sensors for the 100th time that shift. Captain Miller nodded. Paradise indeed, though I wouldn't mind a little excitement now and then. He would soon regret those words. Communications Officer Susan Wright suddenly straightened in her chair. Her hands moved quickly across her console as she adjusted frequencies and checked readings. "Captain, I'm picking up something strange," she said, her voice tense. "There's a signal. I can't identify it." Miller turned toward her. "Source: unknown, sir. It's not matching any known patterns in our database." Science Officer Paul Johnson moved to Wright's station, peering over her shoulder at the readings. His normally calm face showed concern. "Captain, whatever this is, it's not using any communication protocols we've encountered before. The signal pattern suggests incredible complexity." Miller was about to respond when Lieutenant Greg Sanders called out from the engineering station. "Sir, massive energy signature detected at coordinates 227 Mark 43. The view screen shifted automatically to show the indicated sector of space. At first, there was nothing. Then, as if reality itself was tearing open, a massive ship appeared. It seemed to slide into existence from nowhere, its hull black as the space around it, but somehow even darker, as it absorbed the very starlight that touched it. "Red alert," Miller ordered immediately, his voice steady despite the sudden pounding of his heart. "Shields up. Weapons on standby." The Defender's lights dimmed as power was diverted to defensive systems. The calm atmosphere a moment ago vanished, replaced by focused tension. "Size comparison?" Miller asked. Johnson worked his console rapidly. "The vessel is approximately 3 times our size, Captain. Configuration unknown. Not matching any designs in our database." "It's beautiful," Foster whispered, then caught herself. In a terrifying way, she wasn't wrong. The alien ship had a strange elegance to its design, smooth curves and sharp angles that seemed to flow into each other. But what caught Miller's attention were the unmistakable weapon ports dotting its hull, currently closed but clearly visible. "Susan, any response to standard greeting protocols?" Wright shook her head. "Nothing, Captain. I've tried all frequencies and formats." "Keep trying," Miller ordered. "Let's not assume hostile intent just yet." The alien vessel remained motionless, hanging in space like a predator watching its prey. Minutes passed in tense silence. "Captain," Wright said suddenly, "I'm receiving something. It's adapting to our communication systems." The main view screen flickered, and strange symbols appeared, shifting and changing as if alive. The ship's computer worked frantically to make sense of them. "It's some kind of language," Johnson said, his fingers flying across his console. "The translation matrix is having difficulty, but it's learning quickly." More symbols appeared, gradually transforming into recognizable text. The message was short and direct. "Surrender your vessel or be destroyed." Miller's jaw tightened. Not the friendly first contact we were hoping for. "They're scanning us, sir," Foster reported. "Intense energy beams, penetrating our outer hull. They're looking at everything, weapons, shields, propulsion." Miller stood from his chair, a habit when making crucial decisions. "Susan, send this message. This is Captain Jack Miller, the United Earthship Defender. We are on a peaceful mission of exploration. We mean no harm and request peaceful dialogue." Wright sent the message. The response came almost immediately, this time in clearer English. "Your technology is primitive. Your ship is inadequate. We are the KRA Zerai Dominion. Surrender now." "Charming," Foster muttered. "Sir," Sanders called from engineering, "their scans are interfering with our systems. Power fluctuations in all sectors." Miller faced a critical decision. Fight, run, or surrender. With no knowledge of the alien ship's capabilities, fighting could be suicide. Surrender was not an option. That left one choice. Navigation, plot a course back to Earth, maximum speed. Sir, Foster interjected, running might be seen as a sign of weakness. We're outgunned and facing an unknown enemy, Lieutenant Commander. Our duty now is to warn Earth. The alien vessel suddenly began to move, gliding forward with surprising speed for its size. They're powering weapons. Foster shouted. Evasive maneuvers. Miller ordered, "Get us out of here now." The Defender banked hard, its engines flaring as it turned away from the threat. Too late. A beam of blue-white energy lanced out from the alien ship, striking the Defender's port side. The human vessel shuddered violently as consoles exploded in showers of sparks. Crew members were thrown from their stations. Direct hit to port thrusters, Sanders reported, his face illuminated by the emergency lights. 30% efficiency remaining. Miller gripped his chair as the ship stabilized. Return fire. Target their weapons array. The Defender's phase cannons fired, orange beams striking the alien vessel. The shots seemed to splash against some kind of energy field without causing visible damage. "No effect, Captain," Foster reported grimly. "Their shields absorbed everything we threw at them." Another beam shot from the alien ship, grazing the Defender's starboard side. More systems went offline as power conduits overloaded. "We can't take another hit like that," Sanders warned. "Core containment is holding, but barely." Miller made a split-second decision. All power to engines. Navigation. Set course to the asteroid field in Sector 19. Lieutenant Sanders, prepare to release emergency plasma from the port nacelles on my mark. The crew moved with practiced efficiency despite the crisis. The Defender limped toward a dense field of asteroids, trailing plasma and debris. "They're pursuing, sir," Foster said, closing fast. "Steady," Miller said, watching the tactical display closely. As they entered the asteroid field, he gave the order. "Now, Sanders, release the plasma." A cloud of superheated plasma erupted from the damaged port nacelles, spreading out behind the Defender like a nebula. At the same time, Miller ordered the ship to cut all power except life support and minimal thrusters. "Find us the biggest asteroid and get behind it," he ordered. The Defender drifted into the shadow of a massive asteroid just as the Krasari ship entered the plasma cloud. The charged particles interfered with their sensors, momentarily blinding them. "Power down everything we can spare," Miller ordered. "Minimal life support only. Let's play dead." The ship went dark, drifting silently in the asteroid shadow. On the view screen, they watched as the alien vessel slowed, clearly searching for them. Its powerful sensors swept the area, but the combination of the plasma cloud and the mineral-rich asteroids created enough interference to hide the powered-down Defender. After what seemed like hours but was only 20 minutes, the alien ship turned and moved away, apparently deciding that the human vessel had been destroyed or escaped. "They're leaving sensor range, Captain," Foster reported, her voice barely above a whisper, as if the aliens might hear her. Miller waited another 10 minutes before giving the order. "Restore minimal power. Let's assess the damage." As systems slowly came back online, the extent of their situation became clear. The Defender was badly damaged. Life support was functioning at 60%. The port thrusters were operating at minimal capacity. Communications were limited to short range only. "Can we make it back to Earth?" Miller asked Sanders. The engineer ran calculations on his console. "Yes, sir, but it'll take us 3 weeks at quarter impulse, which is the best we can manage right now." "We need to warn Earth about what we've encountered," Miller said grimly. "Lieutenant Wright, prepare a message buoy with all the data we've collected on the alien vessel. Includes sensor readings, weapons analysis, and the communications. Mark a priority 1 for Earth Defense Command." As Wright worked to prepare the buoy, Miller turned to Johnson. "What can you tell me about these Krasari?" The science officer had been analyzing the data throughout their escape. Based on their technology and communication patterns, they appear to be highly advanced. The translation matrix adapted to our language quickly, suggesting they've encountered many species before. Their ship design indicates a civilization potentially centuries ahead of ours technologically. Miller nodded, his expression grave, and they weren't impressed with us. No, sir, Johnson agreed. They called our technology primitive. That suggests they don't see us as a threat. That might be the only advantage we have, Miller said. He turned to address the entire bridge crew. We have 3 weeks to get home and help prepare Earth for what's coming. Because make no mistake, they will come. The Krasuri have seen us now, and I don't think they're the type to leave potential threats unexplored. As if to confirm his words, Sanders looked up from his console with a worried expression. Captain, I've been analyzing their warp signature. Based on the residual particles, I can estimate their maximum speed. He paused. If they decide to head toward Earth, they could arrive in approximately 3 months. Miller stared at the view screen, now showing only stars and distant asteroids. Then we have 3 months to prepare for war. The Defender limped away from the asteroid field, carrying with it humanity's first encounter with an alien civilization, and the knowledge that they had just made a very dangerous enemy. The message buoy from the USS Defender reached Earth 2 days before the damaged ship limped into orbit. Admiral Laura Peterson stood by the large window in her office at Earth Defense Command headquarters, watching distant stars with new unease. The data from Captain Miller's encounter with the Krasuri had changed everything. 3 months, she said to the empty room. 3 months to prepare for an enemy we know almost nothing about. A soft chime announced a visitor. The door slid open to reveal her aide, Lieutenant Frank Cooper. They're here, Admiral, he said. Peterson nodded and straightened her uniform. Send them in. 5 people entered the room. Captain Miller looked tired but determined, his uniform still showing signs of hasty repairs. Beside him stood Lieutenant Commander Foster, Science Officer Johnson, and Communications Officer Wright. The 5th person was new to Peterson, a civilian woman with intense eyes and an air of barely contained energy. Captain Miller. Peterson greeted them. I've reviewed your report. Excellent work getting your ship and crew home safely. Miller nodded. Thank you, Admiral. My crew performed admirably under extreme circumstances. And who is this? Peterson asked, looking at the civilian. Dr. Ellen Ross, Miller said. She's been consulting with us since our return. Her work in quantum mechanics might give us an edge against the Krasuri. Dr. Ross stepped forward. Admiral, the Defender sensor readings of the alien ship reveal technology far beyond our current capabilities, but not beyond our understanding. Peterson gestured for everyone to sit at the conference table. I'm listening. The public doesn't know yet, Peterson said, touching a control that dimmed the windows and activated a holographic display in the center of the table. We're keeping the Krasuri encounter classified for now to prevent panic. Meanwhile, we've activated Project Longbow. The hologram showed a massive facility built into the far side of the moon. Miller leaned forward, his fatigue momentarily forgotten. Longbow? I thought that was just a rumor. It's very real, Peterson said. For 15 years, we've been developing technologies that most of the scientific community considers theoretical at best. Dr. Ross nodded. That's why you contacted me. My work on quantum shield harmonics was dismissed by the mainstream, but you've been implementing it. Precisely, Peterson confirmed. And now we need to accelerate the timeline. What was planned for completion in 5 years needs to be ready in 3 months. The hologram changed to show a partially constructed ship, unlike anything Miller had seen before. Its hull was sleek but angular in places, with strange protrusions at regular intervals. It was approximately twice the size of the Defender. The USS Vindicator, Peterson said. Our answer to threats exactly like the Krasuri. Lieutenant Commander Foster studied the image carefully. Those aren't standard weapons ports. No, Peterson agreed. Chief Designer Alan Murphy has been developing weapons based on principles that most physicists still debate. Dr. Ross, you'll be working directly with him. Johnson pointed to the strange patterns visible on the ship's hull. What are those? Microscopic repair drones, Peterson explained. Trillions of them, embedded in the hull itself. They can repair damage in real time during combat. Miller whistled softly. And you think this ship can stand against the Krasari? Peterson's expression grew serious. It has to. We're also upgrading our existing fleet, but the Vindicator will be our best hope. What about the crew? Miller asked. That's why you're here, Captain. I want you to command her. The news hit Miller like a physical blow. Admiral, I'm honored, but I don't know the first thing about this technology. You know how to fight, and you've seen the enemy firsthand, Peterson replied. We need that experience. You'll have the best minds in Earth's defense forces to handle the technical aspects. Peterson turned to the others. Lieutenant Commander Foster, your tactical expertise will be essential. Officer Johnson, your analysis of the Krasari technology makes you invaluable to the weapons development team. Officer Wright, your word deciphering their communications gives you unique insight into their thinking. What about the Defender? Miller asked. She'll be repaired and assigned to the defense fleet. Lieutenant Sanders will oversee the incorporation of any viable upgrades based on longbow technology. Peterson stood, signaling the meeting's end. You leave for the lunar base in 6 hours. Commander Kate Williams will meet you there. She's been overseeing longbow for the past 3 years. As the others filed out, Peterson asked Miller to stay behind. Jack, she said, using his first name now that they were alone, I need to know if you're up for this. Once the Krasari arrive, the Vindicator will be at the center of the fight. Miller met her gaze steadily. They called us primitive, Laura. They dismissed us as a threat. That might be the only advantage we have. The lunar base hummed with activity as Miller's team stepped off the transport shuttle. Commander Kate Williams waited for them, her tall frame and sharp features giving her a severe appearance that was softened somewhat by her welcoming smile. Captain Miller, she said, extending her hand. I've read your report on the Krasari encounter. Impressive thinking with the plasma cloud. Miller shook her hand. Commander Williams, we're eager to see what you've been building up here. Williams nodded and led them through a series of security checkpoints. Project Longbow has been my life for 3 years. What you're about to see represents the work of the brightest minds on Earth. They entered a massive hangar bay carved into lunar rock. Miller stopped in his tracks, staring up at the ship suspended in the center. The hologram in Peterson's office hadn't done it justice. The Vindicator was beautiful and terrifying all at once. My God, Foster whispered beside him. Workers swarmed around the ship like ants, welding, testing, and installing components. Robotic arms moved larger pieces into place with precision. She's about 70% complete, Williams explained. The main hull and propulsion systems are done. We're still working on the weapons and shield systems. A stocky man with wild gray hair approached them, wiping his hands on a rag. So you're the folks who met our new friends, he said without preamble. Williams made the introduction. Chief Designer Alan Murphy. He's a genius behind most of what you see here. Murphy waved away the compliment. Genius is just stubbornness with a better education. Come on, I'll show you what she can do. He led them to a control room overlooking the hangar. Display screens showed various systems and schematics. The heart of the Vindicator is her power system, Murphy explained. Conventional reactors couldn't generate enough energy for what we needed, so we developed this. He brought up a schematic of what looked like a small star contained within layers of exotic materials. A miniaturized fusion reactor? Johnson asked, clearly impressed. Close, Murphy said. It's actually a controlled quantum singularity. Essentially, a tiny black hole generating power through Hawking radiation. Foster looked alarmed. You put a black hole in a ship? A microscopic one, Murphy assured her, perfectly contained. It generates 100 times more power than anything we built before. And you need all that power because... Miller prompted. Murphy smiled and changed the display to show a massive array of interlocking rings and focusing chambers. This is the gravitational lens array, the weapon that will save Earth. Dr. Ross moved closer to the screen, her eyes wide. You actually built it. I thought it was just theoretical. What does it do? Miller asked. It focuses gravitational forces into a concentrated beam, Murphy explained. In theory, it can create a localized distortion in space-time that would crush anything caught in it. In theory, Foster repeated skeptically. We haven't had a chance to test it at full power, Murphy admitted. The energy requirements are enormous, and there's a risk of damaging the lunar facility. Miller looked back at the ship through a control room window. How long until it's ready? At our current pace? Murphy considered. 4 to 6 months. We have less than 3, Miller reminded him. Murphy sighed. Then we'd better get to work. Over the next weeks, the lunar base became a hive of constant activity. Sleep was a luxury as teams worked around the clock. Murphy and Dr. Ross argued constantly over shield harmonics and power distribution. Lieutenant Christopher Garcia, a propulsion specialist brought in to optimize the engines, often joined their heated debates. Miller spent hours in simulation chambers, learning how to handle the new ship. Foster worked with Major Sam Taylor, a combat specialist with unorthodox tactical ideas, to develop battle strategies against an enemy whose capabilities they could only estimate. 38 days after their arrival, Murphy called them all to the control room. His hair was even wilder than usual, and he looked like he hadn't slept in days. We've had a breakthrough, he announced. Ross and Garcia found a way to increase power efficiency by 27% without compromising stability. What does that mean for our timeline? Williams asked. Murphy smiled for the first time in weeks. We can begin system tests in 5 days. If all goes well, the Vindicator could be operational in just over a month. Miller nodded, relief washing over him. Good, because our long-range sensors just picked up unusual activity at the edge of the solar system. We think the Krasari might be sending scouts ahead of their main fleet. The room fell silent as the reality of their situation sank in. Will we be ready? Foster finally asked. Miller looked through the window at the nearly completed warship. We have to be. The alternative is unacceptable. On the display behind them, a small red dot blinked at the edge of Pluto's orbit. The Krasari were coming, and Earth's time was running out. The red warning lights cast an eerie glow across the faces of the crew as the Vindicator performed its first full power test. Captain Miller sat in the command chair, fingers gripping the armrests as the ship hummed with energy around him. Quantum singularity reactor at 90% and holding steady, Lieutenant Garcia reported from the engineering station. All systems drawing power within expected parameters. Dr. Ross monitored the shield harmonics, her face illuminated by the glow of her console. Shield grid online. Phase variance at acceptable levels. Commander Williams stood beside Miller, her expression tense but hopeful. So far so good, Captain. Miller nodded but remained cautious. Previous tests had ended with power fluctuations and emergency shutdowns. This was the first time they had attempted to bring all systems online simultaneously. Begin weapon system initialization, Miller ordered. Lieutenant Commander Foster acknowledged from tactical. Bringing conventional weapons online first. Phase cannons charging. Torpedo systems ready. The ship shuddered slightly as power flowed into weapons that had never been fired. Now for the main event, Miller said. Initialize the gravitational lens array. Minimum power only. Major Sam Taylor, who had been assigned as weapons specialist of the array, began the careful startup sequence. GLA initializing. Power draw is within expected range. Focusing rings aligning. Murphy's voice came through the comm system from the observation room. Watch the harmonic resonance on the 4th focusing ring. It was showing stress during simulation. Acknowledged, Taylor replied, adjusting power flow to compensate. The entire ship vibrated as the massive weapon system came to life. On the main view screen, a graphic displayed the status of each component. Most glowed a reassuring green, but a few sections flickered between yellow and red. Power fluctuation in the main emitter, Garcia warned. Compensating. The vibrations increased. Miller exchanged a glance with Williams. If this keeps up, we should abort, she said quietly. Miller nodded, but gave it a few more seconds. Major Taylor, status of GLA? Almost there, sir. Just need to stabilize the focusing array and... A loud alarm cut him off as red warning indicators flashed across several consoles. Power surged in the secondary coupling. Garcia shouted, the reactor's increasing output beyond our control. Shut it down, Miller ordered immediately, full emergency protocols. The crew moved with practice efficiency, having rehearsed the scenario many times in simulation. Taylor and Garcia worked in tandem to redirect power away from the GLA, while Dr. Ross fought to maintain shield integrity. Reactors not responding to shutdown commands, Garcia reported, his voice tight with tension. Manual override, Williams suggested. Already tried. Something's causing a feedback loop in the control systems. Miller made a quick decision. Divert all excess power to the shields. Dr. Ross, can they handle it? Ross's fingers flew across her console. Theoretically, yes, but we've never tested them at these levels. No time like the present, Miller said grimly. The lights in the command center dimmed as power was rerouted to the shields. The ship's vibrations decreased slightly. It's working, Foster said. Power levels are stabilizing. Garcia shook his head in disbelief. The reactor just accepted the shutdown command. We're powering down normally now. A collective sigh of relief passed through the bridge. Miller relaxed his grip on the chair. What happened? He asked. I'm not sure, Garcia admitted. It's like the reactor developed a mind of its own for a moment. Murphy's voice came through the comm again. Not the reactor, the ship. Explain, Miller demanded. The repair drones embedded in the hull, Murphy said. They're designed to communicate with each other, to coordinate repairs. We think they might have created their own network and started making decisions independently. Are you saying the ship is alive? Williams asked, sounding disturbed. Not alive, Murphy clarified. More like learning, adapting. The drones are just doing what they were programmed to do. Optimize systems. They just took it further than we expected. Miller wasn't sure if that was reassuring or terrifying. Can you fix it? We're working on adjustments to the programming now, Murphy said. But there might be an advantage here. A ship that can adapt on its own could be more effective in combat. Or it could decide to blow us all up, Foster muttered. Miller stood up. Keep working on it. We need this ship operational, but I want it under our control. As they exited the ship back into the lunar hangar, Admiral Peterson was waiting for them. Her expression told Miller everything he needed to know. They're here, he said. It wasn't a question. Peterson nodded grimly. A Crozari fleet just appeared at the edge of the solar system. 27 ships, each larger than the one you encountered. Miller felt a chill run down his spine. How long do we have? At their current speed, 5 days until they reach Earth orbit. Williams looked back at the Vindicator. We need more time. Time is the one thing we don't have, Peterson said. Captain Miller, I need your ship ready in 3 days. 3 days? Garcia exclaimed. Admiral, with all due respect, we're still troubleshooting major systems. Then you'll have to troubleshoot faster, Peterson replied without sympathy. The defense fleet is moving to intercept, but based on Captain Miller's previous encounter, they won't last long without the Vindicator. After Peterson left, Miller gathered his core team in the ship's conference room. The mood was somber. I won't lie to you, he said. We're not ready. The ship isn't ready. But in 3 days, we go to war anyway. The GLA still isn't stable, Taylor pointed out. We can't fire it without risking a core breach. Dr. Ross had been quietly working on a tablet. She looked up. What if we don't need to fire it at full power? Even at 30% capacity, it would still be the most powerful weapon humans have ever built. Would it be enough against the Crozari shields? Foster asked. We won't know until we try, Ross admitted, but it gives us a chance. Miller nodded. Garcia, focus on stabilizing the reactor for partial GLA deployment. Foster and Taylor developed tactical scenarios based on 30% weapon efficiency. Dr. Ross, work with Murphy on the shield harmonics. We'll need every advantage we can get. And the repair drones? Williams asked. Miller considered this. Leave them. If they can help the ship adapt during battle, that might save us all. Just make sure they can't override our commands. For the next 72 hours, sleep became a distant memory as the crew worked frantically to prepare the Vindicator for battle. Systems were tested, adjusted, and tested again. Combat simulations ran continuously, with Foster and Taylor developing strategies for every possible scenario. On the morning of the third day, Miller stood in the hangar, looking up at the Vindicator. Despite everything, a sense of pride swelled in his chest. The ship wasn't perfect, but it represented humanity's best hope. Murphy approached, looking as tired as Miller felt. "She's as ready as she'll ever be, Captain." "Will she fly?" Miller asked simply. Murphy smiled faintly, like nothing you've ever piloted before. "And fight?" The smile faded. "That's up to you and your crew. The tools are there, but some of them are untested." Miller clasped the older man's shoulder. "Thank you for everything you've done. Just bring her back in one piece," Murphy said gruffly. "I've grown attached to the old girl." The crew boarded the ship one by one, each carrying the weight of Earth's future on their shoulders. As Miller took his place in the command chair, he looked around at the faces of his team. "I know we're not ready," he said. "I know there are 100 things that could go wrong. But I also know that the Krasuri have never faced humans in battle before. They think we're primitive and predictable. Let's show them how wrong they are." The Vindicator's engines came to life with a deep rumble that seemed to resonate through the lunar rock itself. As a massive hangar door slid open, revealing the star-filled void beyond, Miller gave the order he had been waiting to say. "Take us out, Lieutenant Garcia. Time to introduce ourselves to the Krasuri." The Vindicator rose gracefully from the lunar surface, its sleek hull gleaming in the harsh sunlight. As it accelerated away from the moon, the ship seemed to shed its experimental status and become what it was always meant to be, a warship. In the command center on Earth, Admiral Peterson watched the Vindicator's departure on the main display. Lieutenant Cooper stood beside her, his expression worried. "Do you think they have a chance?" he asked quietly. Peterson didn't answer immediately. The latest intelligence showed the Krasuri fleet advancing methodically through the solar system, their massive ships dwarfing anything Earth could field, except for the Vindicator. "Captain Miller has a talent for beating impossible odds," she said finally. "And sometimes that's all you need." As the Vindicator accelerated to full speed, heading toward the waiting Krasuri fleet, Miller received a transmission from the lead alien vessel. The message was brief and arrogant. "Humans of Earth, we are the Kare Dominion. Your world will join our empire or be destroyed. Choose." Miller smiled grimly as he composed his reply. "This is Captain Jack Miller of the Earth ship Vindicator. We choose neither. Come and get US." The battle for Earth was about to begin. The Vindicator raced through the void toward Saturn, where Earth's defense fleet waited in formation. Through the main view screen, Miller could see the ring planet glowing against the darkness of space. Its beauty stood in stark contrast to the grim purpose of their mission. "Time to rendezvous with the fleet?" Miller asked. "20 minutes, Captain," Garcia replied from the helm. Commander Williams studied the tactical display. "The Krasuri have slowed their advance. They're currently holding position near Jupiter." "Gathering intelligence," Foster suggested. "If I were them, I'd want to know what we're capable of before committing to a full attack." Miller nodded. "They're cautious." "Good. That gives us time to coordinate with the defense fleet." "Sir!" Communications Officer Wright called out. "Admiral Peterson is hailing us." "On screen," Miller ordered. Peterson's face appeared on the view screen. Despite the digital transmission, Miller could see the strain in her eyes. "Captain Miller, we've intercepted communications between the Krasuri ships. Our linguists have made progress with their language." "What have you learned?" Miller asked. "They're discussing the Vindicator. Apparently, their scouts detected the energy signature from our test runs. They're concerned." Miller exchanged glances with Foster. "Concerned is good. What else?" "Their fleet commander is someone or something called Zix-AR. From what we can gather, the Krasuri have conquered 17 systems before reaching ours. They've never encountered serious resistance." "Then they're in for surprise," Miller said grimly. Peterson's expression remained serious. "Don't underestimate them, Jack. We've also learned they consider this a routine expansion. They've split their fleet. Only 5 ships are coming to handle what they consider our token resistance. The rest are preparing for the occupation of Earth. Their overconfidence is our advantage," Miller said. "What's the plan?" The defense fleet will engage the Crozari ships directly, Peterson explained. While they're distracted, the Vindicator will move into position near Titan. Saturn's magnetic field and Titan's atmosphere should help mask your energy signature. We're the surprise they don't see coming, Miller realized. Exactly. But timing will be critical. The defense fleet can't hold out for long. After the transmission ended, Miller turned to his crew. You heard the Admiral. We need to make every shot count. The Vindicator changed course, using Saturn's rings as cover while the Earth defense fleet moved to intercept the approaching Crozari ships. From their position, they watched as the first flashes of weapons fire lit up the blackness of space. The battle has begun, Foster reported, her voice tight. On the tactical display, they could see 5 massive Crozari warships advancing on the much smaller Earth vessels. The human ships fired salvos of torpedoes and energy weapons, most of which seemed to dissipate harmlessly against the alien shields. Our weapons are barely making a dent, Williams observed grimly. The Crozari returned fire. Brilliant beams of energy lanced out from their ships, cutting through the Earth vessels with frightening ease. 2 human ships disappeared from the tactical display in quick succession. They're being slaughtered, Garcia said quietly. Miller's jaw tightened. Move us into position behind Titan. Maximum stealth mode. The Vindicator glided silently through Saturn's rings, its advanced stealth systems making it nearly invisible to conventional sensors. As they approached Titan, the largest of Saturn's moons, Miller felt the weight of responsibility pressing down on him. The defense fleet was buying them time with their lives. Major Taylor, status of the gravitational lens array? Taylor checked his readings. Charged and ready at 35% capacity, Captain. Any higher would risk system instability. We'll make it count, Miller assured him. Dr. Ross, how are the shields holding up? All green, she replied. The repair drones have been making subtle adjustments to the shield grid. They seem to be optimizing it based on the energy signatures they're detecting from the Crozari weapons. Miller raised an eyebrow. They're learning from observation? It appears so, Ross confirmed. The drones are sharing information and adapting our systems accordingly. Sir, Wright interrupted, Admiral Peterson is signaling. The defense fleet can't hold much longer. 3 more ships lost. Miller stood from his command chair. It's time. Take us out from behind Titan. Full impulse power. Target the nearest Crozari vessel. The Vindicator emerged from Titan's shadow, its engines flaring as it accelerated toward the battle. For a moment, neither side seemed to notice the new arrival. Then alarms sounded across the bridge. We've been spotted, Foster reported. 2 Crozari ships are breaking off to intercept us. They're curious, Miller said. Let's show them what we can do. Target the lead ship with conventional weapons. The Vindicator's phase cannons fired, striking the approaching Crozari vessel. Unlike the weapons in the defense fleet, the Vindicator's enhanced cannons managed to create visible distortions in the alien shield. Their shields are holding, but we definitely got their attention, Foster reported. They're returning fire, Williams warned. The Crozari ship launched a barrage of energy pulses that streaked toward the Vindicator. Miller braced for impact, but the ship's advanced shields held. Shields at 92%, Ross announced, sounding relieved. The harmonic adjustments are working. They're scanning us, Wright said. Very intense energy beams. Miller smiled grimly. Good. Let them get a good look. Major Taylor, prepare the GLA. Target their primary weapon systems. Taylor's hands moved across his console with practiced precision. GLA charge and ready, sir. Targeting solutions locked. Fire. For a brief moment, nothing seemed to happen. Then a barely visible distortion emanated from the front of the Vindicator, like a heat wave in the desert. It struck the lead Crozari ship, and what happened next stunned everyone on the bridge. The section of the alien vessel caught in the gravitational beam began to compress, the metal and materials folding in on themselves as if being crushed by an invisible hand. Alarms and warnings flashed across the bridge consoles as the Crozari ship's power systems overloaded in response to the sudden structural damage. Direct hit, Foster reported, unable to keep the awe from her voice. Their forward weapons array is completely crushed. They're retreating, Williams added as a damaged Cross-Ori ship began to pull away. The second alien vessel hesitated, clearly reassessing the threat posed by the Vindicator. After a moment, it too began to withdraw. They're regrouping, Miller observed, and probably reporting what just happened to their fleet commander. Captain, Garcia called from his station. The GLA power couplings are showing signs of stress. We can maybe get 2 more shots at that power level before risking a breakdown. Miller nodded. Make them count. Set course to assist the remaining defense fleet vessels. As the Vindicator moved to join what remained of Earth's fleet, a new transmission came through. It was from the Cross-Ori command ship, and this time the message included a visual. The alien that appeared on screen was unlike anything Miller had imagined. Its skin was a deep purple-black, with multiple eyes arranged in a pattern across what might be called a face. When it spoke, its mouth didn't move. Instead, patterns of light rippled across its skin. Human vessel. The translation came through. I am Fleet Commander Zixar of the Cross-Ori Dominion. Your weapon is unexpected, impressive for a primitive species. Miller stood tall. This is Captain Jack Miller of the USS Vindicator. We have more surprises for you. Zixar, leave our system now. The alien skin flashed with patterns that the translator couldn't interpret. Your defiance is noted, human, but it changes nothing. We have conquered species far more advanced than yours. This demonstration merely elevates you from nuisance to challenge. The transmission ended abruptly. Miller turned to his crew. They're taking us seriously now, he said. And that means they'll commit more ships to the fight. Sir, Wright interrupted. The defense fleet reports across Cross-Ori are pulling back to Jupiter. All 5 ships. Foster looks suspicious. They're retreating? That doesn't make sense. Not retreating, Miller corrected. Regrouping. Zixar won't give up so easily. He's going to bring in the rest of his fleet. How long do we have? Williams asked. Hard to say, Miller replied. Hours, maybe a day if we're lucky. Foster studied the tactical display. What's our next move, Captain? Miller considered their options. The Vindicator had proven its worth, but the GLA couldn't be fired many more times without repairs. The remaining defense fleet ships were damaged and low on ammunition. Against a full Cross-Ori fleet, they would be hopelessly outnumbered. We need to choose our battlefield, Miller decided. Commander Williams, what's the status of Titan's atmosphere? Williams looked surprised but checked the data. Dense, mostly nitrogen. Visibility will be extremely limited. Why? Because we're going to hide there, Miller explained. The atmosphere will mask our energy signature and blind their sensors. We can use the moon's gravity to our advantage. An ambush? Foster asked, catching on quickly. Exactly. We let a few ships follow us in, then hit them when they're blind and disoriented. The plan was risky, but it was their best chance. As the Vindicators set course for Titan once more, Miller felt a strange mix of fear and determination. The Cross-Ori had come expecting an easy conquest. Instead, they had found an enemy that refused to surrender. They took a second look at our ship, Miller said quietly to Williams, and I think they're starting to regret it. Williams nodded. Let's make sure they regret it even more. As Titan's orange haze surface grew large in the view screen, Miller prepared his ship and crew for the battle to come. The next few hours would determine the fate of Earth itself. Titan's thick orange atmosphere enveloped the Vindicator like a protective blanket. Visibility dropped to near zero as the ship descended into the moon's dense clouds. Only the advanced sensors allowed them to navigate through the nitrogen-rich haze. All systems on minimal power, Miller ordered. Passive sensors only. We don't want to give away our position. The bridge was illuminated only by the soft glow of essential displays. The crew spoke in hushed tones, as if the Cross-Ori might somehow hear them through the vastness of space. Status of the GLA? Miller asked. Engineering reports they've stabilized the power couplings, Garcia replied. We should be able to get 3 shots at 40% capacity. 3 shots, Miller repeated. We'll need to make every one count. Foster monitored the tactical display. The remaining defense fleet has taken position near Saturn's northern pole. They'll try to draw the Krasari toward us. Hours passed in tense silence as they waited. The crew took turns resting, though few could actually sleep. The fate of Earth rested on what would happen in the next engagement. Wright suddenly straightened at her station. "Captain, I'm detecting multiple ships entering Saturn's orbit. The Krasari fleet has arrived." The tactical display confirmed her report. 25 Krasari warships had taken position around Saturn. The entire Dominion fleet had joined the battle. "They're not taking any chances this time," Williams observed grimly. Miller studied the display. "They're spreading out, searching for us. Zixar knows we're here somewhere." "Captain," Wright called out, "incoming transmission from Admiral Peterson." Miller nodded. "Audio only. We can't risk a visual signal." Peterson's voice came through, filled with static but understandable. "Captain Miller, the Krasari have deployed their entire fleet. Our defensive line can't hold against these numbers. Whatever you're planning, it needs to happen soon." "Understood, Admiral. We're in position on Titan. Send the coordinates to the defense fleet. We need them to draw some of the Krasari ships into our trap." "Good luck, Jack. Earth is counting on you." The transmission ended, leaving the bridge in silence again. Miller turned to his crew. "This is it," he said simply. "The moment everything we've worked for comes together. I know the odds seem impossible. 25 ships against our one. But remember, they don't know what we're capable of. They think they're hunting us, but we're the ones setting the trap." Foster reported movement on the tactical display. 3 Krasari ships are breaking formation, heading toward Titan. The defense fleet must have baited them successfully. "Perfect," Miller said. "Now we wait for them to enter the atmosphere." The minutes crawled by as they tracked the approaching ships. Finally, Foster announced, "They've entered Titan's upper atmosphere. They're searching in a standard sweep pattern." "They can't see us through these clouds," Williams said, "but they know we're here somewhere." Miller leaned forward in his chair. "Are they within range of the GLA?" "Not yet," Taylor replied from the weapons station. "We need them about 20 kilometers closer." Garcia monitored the alien ship's approach. "They're moving cautiously. Current course will bring them within optimal range in approximately 3 minutes." Miller nodded. "Power up all systems on my mark. We'll only have seconds before they detect us and react." The bridge crew tensed as they watched the tactical display. The 3 Krasari ships moved slowly through Titan's atmosphere, their powerful sensors sweeping the area. "Range?" Miller asked. 30 seconds to optimal firing position," Taylor reported. Miller took a deep breath. "All hands, battle stations. Prepare to power up on my mark." The seconds ticked by with excruciating slowness. "Mark," Miller commanded. "Full power to all systems. Target the lead ship and fire the GLA as soon as you have a lock." The Vindicator came to life, its systems surging with power. The sudden energy signature must have alerted the Krasari ships, as they immediately began to turn toward the human vessel. "They've spotted us," Foster called out. "GLA locked on target," Taylor announced. "Firing." The invisible gravitational beam shot out from the Vindicator, tearing through Titan's atmosphere and striking the lead Krasari ship. The effect was even more dramatic than their first engagement. Without the vacuum of space to disperse the energy, the gravitational forces crushed the front half of the alien vessel like a tin can in a giant's fist. Secondary explosions rippled through the ship as its power systems overloaded. "Direct hit," Taylor reported. "Target 1 is crippled." The invisible gravitational beam shot out from the Vindicator, tearing through Titan's atmosphere and striking the lead Krasari ship. The effect was even more dramatic than their first engagement. Without the vacuum of space to disperse the energy, the gravitational forces crushed the front half of the alien vessel like a tin can in a giant's fist. Secondary explosions rippled through the ship as its power systems overloaded. "Direct hit," Taylor reported. "Target 1 is crippled." "The other 2 ships are powering weapons," Foster warned. "Evasive maneuvers," Miller ordered. "Take us deeper into the atmosphere." Garcia sent the Vindicator into a steep dive, using Titan's thick clouds as cover. The Krasari ships fired blindly, their energy beams dissipating in the dense atmosphere. They can't target us effectively in these conditions, Williams observed. But we can target them, Miller said. Their engines are creating heat signatures our sensors can track. Major Taylor, target the second ship. Fire when ready. The GLA fired again, the gravitational distortion briefly clearing the clouds in its path before striking the second Crozery vessel. This time, the alien ship managed to move partially out of the beam's path, taking damage to its port side rather than a direct hit to its core. Partial hit, Taylor reported. They're damaged but still operational. They're calling for reinforcements, Wright announced. I'm detecting 7 more ships changing course toward Titan. Miller knew they couldn't handle that many ships at once. We need to take out the command ship. Where is Zixar? Foster checked the tactical display. Still in high orbit around Saturn. He's coordinating the fleet from a distance. Coward, Miller muttered. He sends his ships to die while staying safely back. Sir, Garcia interrupted, I have an idea. The disruption caused by the GLA creates a temporary break in the cloud cover. If we time it right, we could use that gap to launch a missile barrage at the remaining ship, then make a run for orbit. Miller considered this. Do it. Target the third ship with conventional weapons. Prepare to ascend on my mark. As the third Crozery ship moved cautiously through clouds, the Vindicator fired the GLA at a point just above the alien vessel. The gravitational beam tore a hole through the dense atmosphere, creating a momentary window of clear space. Through this gap, Foster launched a full barrage of enhanced torpedoes that struck the surprised Crozery ship from above. Direct hits, she reported as explosions bloomed across the alien vessel's hull. Full power to engines. Miller ordered, Get us out of here. The Vindicator shot upward to the temporary gap in the clouds, ascending rapidly toward space. Behind them, the damaged Crozery ship struggled to pursue. 7 more ships entering Titan's atmosphere, Foster warned. They'll be too late, Garcia said confidently as the Vindicator broke free of Titan's gravitational pull and accelerated into open space. Miller turned to Wright. Open a channel to Fleet Commander Zixar. Let's see if he's ready to talk. After a moment, Zixar's alien face appeared on the view screen. The patterns of light across its skin seemed agitated. Human, the alien said, its translated voice filled with barely contained rage. Your tactics are unexpected. 3 of my ships disabled by your primitive vessel. Not so primitive after all, Miller replied calmly. Call off your fleet, Zixar. Leave our system now, and we'll let you go in peace. The alien skin flashed with rapid patterns. The Dominion does not retreat. You have merely delayed the inevitable. Have I? Miller asked. You've lost 3 ships to one of ours, and we're just getting started. He nodded to Foster, who put a tactical display on the screen. It showed the defense fleet regrouping near Saturn, joined by a dozen fresh ships from Earth. Our full fleet has arrived, Miller bluffed, and each ship carries the same weapon that just destroyed your advance force. It was a lie. The Vindicator was unique, but Zixar had no way of knowing that. The alien was silent for a long moment. Then, you lie. Our scans detect no such weapons on your other vessels. Are you willing to risk your entire fleet to find out? Miller challenged. The Crozery Dominion has conquered 17 systems, you said. Would you sacrifice everything you built on a chance I'm bluffing? Before Zixar could respond, Garcia called out, Captain, the GLA is showing critical power fluctuations. The system is failing. Miller muted the transmission. How bad? Catastrophic, Garcia replied quietly. The power couplings are completely burned out. We won't be able to fire it again without major repairs. Miller unmuted the transmission, careful not to let his expression change. What's it going to be, Zixar? Peace or destruction? The alien commander studied Miller for what seemed like an eternity. Finally, it spoke. The Dominion does not value this system enough to sacrifice our fleet. We will withdraw for now. The transmission ended. On the tactical display, they watched as the Crozery ships began to pull away from Saturn, gathering into formation before accelerating out of the solar system. A cheer erupted on the bridge. Williams clapped Miller on the shoulder. You did it, Captain. They're actually retreating. Miller shook his head. We all did it. And they're not retreating. They're regrouping. Zixar will be back, probably with a larger fleet. But we'll be ready, Foster said confidently. Yes, Miller agreed. Next time, we'll have more than one Vindicator. And the Kralzari will know not to underestimate humans again. As the Vindicator set course for Earth, Miller stood at the view screen watching the stars. The ship had performed beyond all expectations. Despite its experimental status, the crew had faced impossible odds and emerged victorious. Admiral Peterson's voice came through the comm system. Congratulations, Captain Miller. Earth owes you and your crew a debt that can never be repaid. Miller smiled. Just doing our job, Admiral. But I suggest we start building more ships like the Vindicator immediately. The Kralzari will return, and when they do, I want them to face not just one ship they regret encountering, but an entire fleet. As Earth appeared in the distance, a small blue jewel against the blackness of space, Miller felt a sense of pride unlike anything he had experienced before. Humanity had faced its first interstellar threat and survived. More importantly, they had shown the galaxy that despite their relative youth as a spacefaring species, humans were not to be trifled with. The Kralzari had taken a second look at the human warship, and they had regretted it instantly. Next time, Miller thought, they would regret it even more. Yendi,